Our climate is changing. Global warming, extreme weather events, heat waves, drought, wildfires, flooding, frost and hail. And vineyards are on the front line, both as a barometer of climate change in how they grow and as a reflection of its impact in the grapes and wine they produce. The wines we know today may not even exist by 2050. Vineyards all over the world are having to adapt to these challenges, and many believe that simply sustaining current practices isn't enough. There is also a growing body of evidence to suggest that adopting more labour-intensive and seemingly more expensive practices in the vineyard, such as biodynamic or regenerative farming, may actually deliver greater bottom-line profitability through reduced input costs, higher yields, and improved productivity. Furthermore, whilst 10 years ago environmental credentials were seen as a nice-to-have, looking ahead, they may determine commercial success and a brand's very ability to access certain channels, markets, or even countries. Could we see a time when more than points from critics or trophies from shows, environmental credentials serve as a wine brand's most compelling commercial capital?
We are Tablas Creek Vineyard. We are located in Paso Robles, California, in the United States.
We are Bonterra Organic Estates. We are located in Mendocino County, California, United States of America.
We are Gergich Hills Estate. We are located in Napa Valley, California, USA.
We have been organic since our inception, biodynamic for the last dozen years, and regenerative organic for the last 4.
Our mission is to make wines with balance and farm wines with balance.
We are passionate how we grow our grapes, but also how we grow our food. We would love to show people different way of farming besides chemical farming.
1/3 of the Earth's landmass is used for agriculture. If agriculture can't be a part of the solution to challenges like resource scarcity and climate change, those problems probably aren't getting solved. And being a part of a system of farming that lays out a path for that to be the case is honestly the most inspiring thing that I get to be a part of.
When we went down this regenerative path, this property became a 280-acre ecosystem, and we farm it from fence line to fence line. Every plant, every insect, every bird, every mammal plays a role in this property. We don't have weeds anymore.
People have been talking about how tomatoes don't taste like they used to anymore.
We extract from soil, extract from people, continue to extract, and it's gotten us to a place in society where there's a lot of challenges: climate, people, poverty.
The direction of travel for sustainability and its importance within the wine industry is clear, because we know that consumers are asking our customers more and more about how their wine was produced and whether it was sustainably produced.
We discovered the regenerative farming in 2019, which really changed everything in our farming. And since then, we feel like we finally found farming that is truly sustainable, meaning you're growing grapes, you're harvesting grapes, yet you are increasing fertility of soil. That's a holy grail of farming.
Wines are about 85% water, 40 to 16% alcohol, And what makes wine great relies on such a small percentage of its composition that I'm sure that having much healthier and vines with a lot more nutrition is the key to yield the highest, more flavorful wines.
In regenerative farming, when you grow food, you basically, food becomes medicine. All consumers should care about regenerative farming because regenerative farming, through restoring health and functionality of soil, can restore balance on Earth and stop global warming.
It's like we are in Green Revolution about the practices. We don't have to just remove everything that has been before, but we have to take the good things and change all the rest.
There's no limits in regenerative farming, and always regenerative farming will be more profitable and obviously much healthier than conventional farming.
With the regenerative organic approach, it's really how can we strengthen and how can we bring a more holistic and maybe healthful view to how we treat people, how we interact with the business, right? So the business must make a profit, but it also must leave the people and the place better than it started.
We want to be the pebble that starts the avalanche. We are a relatively small winery, not tiny. I mean, 280 acres is not a little backyard hobby. But if we can show that ideas can be implemented, that they can result in better and better wines, that they can result in reasonable farming costs, and we can get other people following on this journey, that's really where it gets exciting.
At the beginning of the 20th century, every vineyard in the world was organic. By default, nitrogen-based synthetic fertilizers had yet to be developed. Fast forward to today, and just 6% of the world's 7 million hectares of vineyard land is certified organic, meaning the majority of our wine is farmed by what we euphemistically call conventional methods. Chemical farming is the norm, organic the exception. You see a vineyard that has perfectly bare soil under the vines, is neat and tidy, that's chemically farmed. But why is this a problem? Well, let's talk about plants. The grapevine, Vitis vinifera, is a Mediterranean weed. In nature, it wants to creep and crawl and climb. Human beings manipulate this into the architecture of a vineyard, and there it remains in place for 20, 30, 40 or more years. And that's the problem. A vineyard, unlike any other crop, can't be removed and rotated. The soil can't be allowed to recover and lie fallow. The synthetic chemicals applied every season seep down into the soil, accumulate, eventually killing all microbial life, leaving a dead soil. This weakens the vine, making it more susceptible to disease, requiring more chemical additions, and there you have the vicious cycle of chemical farming. The grapevine, out of all crops, presents a unique challenge to farmers. By remaining in place for decades, it amplifies the harmful effects of farming with chemicals. Curious and environmentally conscious grape growers have been searching for a solution to this for decades, first through organics, then biodynamics and other sustainability systems. In recent years, a new approach called regenerative organic viticulture has been developed. This not only creates a healthy soil, it also promotes animal and human welfare and, through its unique ability to capture carbon, also protects the planet.
The key differences between organic, biodynamic, and regenerative are, to me, this. Organics is a list of things you can't use. It's a list of chemicals you can't use. But in practice, it is typically executed by replacing chemical inputs with non-chemical inputs. It's still an input-intensive farming. Biodynamics is a more holistic approach where you're trying to create an ecosystem that's in balance inside your farm that allows you to farm the crop that you've chosen. And in that way, it's a big leap forwards. But it's also tied up in this mystical kind of astrological language about cosmic energies and cycles of the moon, which I think limits its ability to be adopted. For us, regenerative organic takes all of the essentials of biodynamics, the soil health, biodiversity, microbial activity, gives it rigorous scientific basis, and then adds to that things that might otherwise be a part of something like a B Corp, looking at your business practices. How do you use your resources? How do you treat your people? And are the working animals on your farm treated well? And for us, that's what makes it so appealing. It's got the breadth of a sustainability certification, the rigor of something like an organic certification, and the holistic approach of biodynamics all in one package. There's not a trade-off between farming more sustainably and making better wine. The investments we're making in the sustainability are resulting in better grapes, which results in better wine. And for us, that's what it's all about.
For an average person coming to Napa and knowing a bit about farming, it's surprising to see that most Napa Valley is still chemically farmed. I believe, if I'm not wrong, that only 7% vineyards are certified organic, and only 2 maybe regenerative in Napa Valley. Very small percentage, knowing that people here are seeking top quality, worldwide quality in wine. So why is that so? It's a mindset. It's when you do something for 40 years, it's hard to admit, oh my God, for 40 years I've been doing things wrong. I need to change. It's hard to admit. Also, lots of the owners are business people with no knowledge of farming. So they hire people who are doing this thing profitably, and they're not going to change. It's not their land. So the change will start with the privately owned land with farmers. And I'm encouraged. We are putting these seminars through Napa Green, Napa Valley Witness. All these 2 organizations really are promoting this kind of farming. And 50 to 100 people show all the time. I don't have converts, but I get more and more phone calls. People are asking me for help. So we have, what we do here is not theory. We have examples how it works. So change won't be because people from New York will demand, I won't pay you $100 per your wine if it's not certified organic, but will come when owners of vineyards cannot get more than 10 years out of their vineyards, and they'll go bankrupt because no one can make any money if you have to replant vineyard every 10 years. And that time is coming.
To me, the beauty of regenerative farming, when contrasted with conventional farming, is that conventional farming sees soil as dirt, as an inert medium in which us humans have to apply and contribute externally everything that plants need to grow. That means us feeding nutrients to the plant, feeding water to the plant, killing everything that's not our crop, because we see it as a threat to our vine.
The 5 principles of regenerative farming are, number 1, no-till. Tilling destroys structure of soil and destroys fungi. Number 2, cover your soil at all time, meaning grow cover crop on it and do not expose soil. Number 3, biodiversity. Besides your cash crop, you have to have many, many other species of plants. Number 4, include animals in your farm, like cows or sheep. And number 5 is social aspect. You pay your farm workers living wage.
I think farming and regenerative farming specifically is going to be a key player in combating climate change. Farming can be a net emitter or a net sequester of carbon dioxide. And by reducing emissions and eventually sequestering more than we emit, it's going to make a huge effect overall weather patterns and climate.
For me, regenerative agriculture means, you're farming the soil, there's welfare involved with the animals, but most importantly, the people are recognized as an equal part or of equal importance as soil health or animal welfare. They truly are one of the most important parts of the ecosystem. And regenerative agriculture sheds light on that fact.
Sin lugar a duda, al empezar con agricultura regenerativa, los suelos son muchos más vivos, tienen un montón de microorganismos, insectos y hay una cantidad de materia orgánica superior a lo que solíamos tener. Luego de este cambio, el paisaje cambió, ahora tiene un montón de colores, con flores, sonidos de pájaros, insectos, hay abejas, sapos, un montón de biodiversidad, lo cual es fantástico.
Can you see a difference between a regeneratively farmed vineyard and a conventionally farmed vineyard? The answer is yes, instantly. I started my career in a fully conventional operation. I was farming 3,500 acres of grapevines, spending around $5 million a year on pesticides. And in the course of 3 or 4 years even, saw resistance build within weeds, within insects, within powdery mildew. And this was a product-based culture. We were spending a lot of money trying to attack a lot of these issues. When you step into a regenerative system, there becomes this feeling of working alongside nature rather than trying to control it. A few examples of using nature to combat nature, if you will. We employ around 48 barn owl boxes, nesting boxes throughout the property. A nesting pair of barn owls can eat thousands of gophers and mice within any given season. We have raptor perches, so areas where birds of prey can perch upon and hunt from. Another bird that we are looking to promote the population of on the property would be blue jays. A nesting pair of blue jays can eat up to 170,000 leafhoppers in any given year. The first sheep showed up on this property in 2010 as a part of the biodynamic trials, and that program quickly grew when we started recognizing the value that they bring to soil health and fertility. Currently, we graze during the winter months. Our herd is around 280 to 300 animals. We employ a mob grazing tactic, so those animals are only on a piece of land for 24 hours per pass. They're given about 1 to 2 acres, and then they're moved the very next day. They're never on a piece of land for more than 24 hours while they're in the vineyard. And they have brought massive amounts of fertility to this property. They literally fertilize every single inch of ground, where as opposed to, say, a conventional system, you're fertilizing right under the emitter, or you're putting fertilizer out into the canopies. But your grapevine roots aren't just under the emitters, they spread throughout your vineyard floor, hopefully. That is the goal. So the sheep have brought an amazing peace and this piece of life to this property that is unmatched. You can't do this conventionally.
Regenerative farming is quite a new concept, although it uses or it relies on processes happening in nature without a human interaction. And it being so new, it makes you feel like you're somewhat stepping into the unknown. There's no set guidelines that you're following or recipe books like there are for biodynamics or conventional farming. And that definitely makes you feel like you're in the cutting edge of something really, really important.
If we can move the needle, get other people following what we do, get other people implementing these things, like that's really where it becomes exciting. And hearing, for example, that this summer that the ROC program now has more than 12 million acres certified just 4 years after it started, like that's incredible.
When we consider the question of scalability with regenerative organic systems, I think Bonterra Organic Estates is a great example. We're farming 850 acres, all certified regenerative organic in Mendocino County. It's one of the things that brought me to Bonterra was this idea of scale. I think sometimes the criticism of biodynamic and regenerative systems is that it has to be boutique, it has to be small scale. You can only do it if you're owned by a foundation or something, you know. And I think for us, it's really important to show that in the United States, at least currently, we're the largest at this scale of 850 acres. And not only that, but also we're growing grapes and producing wines that have an approachable price point. On the regenerative organic, we're in the $20 range. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge that this is scalable.
We are certified organic through CCOF, biodynamic through Demeter, and regenerative organic through ROC, through the Regenerative Organic Certification. We've been organic certified since 2003. We were farming organically before that, but that was the first year that a national organic certification came into play, and we felt like it was worth jumping through the hoops that were necessary to get the certification. We didn't actually put any of this on the label, though, until we got the Regenerative Organic certification a couple of years ago. And that's a function of how meaningful we think ROC is. We were invited to join the pilot program of the ROC certification back in 2019. And one of the things that appealed to us about this certification is that it's not a wine-specific certification. In this pilot program, there was a row crop farmer, there was an orchard, there was aquaculture, there was chocolate, there was coffee. The idea was that this is a system of farming, a certification that allows agriculture not just to not be a part of the problem, but to be a part of the solution to some of the big picture challenges we know we're facing, like resource scarcity, topsoil loss, inequality, and of course, climate change.
We as humans maybe have replaced our humility with our hubris. And we really need to understand that the vine has been interacting with the soil system way longer than we've been around. And so if we create a system in which the vine is able to take what it needs when it needs it, when it's kind of early season and needing more nitrogen, more kind of like vegetative growth, it can take what it needs then. When it's flowering, what it needs is different. And when it's ripening fruit, its needs, again, shift. And so we understand parts of this, but we don't understand all of it. So what we are trying to do is create a system that allows the vine to take the fertility it needs when it needs it, take the water it needs when it needs it, instead of trying to kind of force chemistry onto the plant that maybe it's not quite ready for, maybe it doesn't really need.
As farmers, healthy soil is our most valuable resource. So in a sense, regardless of the crop that we grow, we're actually farming the soil, not directly the plants that live in it.
Las iniciativas más importantes en la viticultura regenerativa consisten en mantener el suelo cubierto de vegetación nativa, nutrir nuestras plantas con compost. El compost que utilizamos es elaborado por nosotros mismos, contiene un 80% de orujo, que es el residuo de nuestras bodegas, y un 20% de guano vacuno. Los beneficios del compost son el aporte de nutrientes y una gran cantidad de microorganismos que colaboran con la degradación y los ciclos de estos nutrientes. El olor del compost debe ser un olor agradable, similar a tierra, no tiene que tener olor a podrido.
In this journey to regenerative organic, we're really looking at reducing and eliminating our tillage. So in the past, we would do a bit of an every other row tillage. One row would be tilled, one row would be in cover crop, and we'd alternate every other year. And so now we're looking at more of a permanent cover. So both rows are now non-tilled. And under vine, we're looking at mowing or really shallow cultivation. And there's a few benefits to reducing or eliminating tillage. Some of those benefits would be maintaining the organic matter that we've created or helped to grow through the life in the soil, the cover crop roots, root exudates, the sheep integration, right? As sheep walk through the vineyard, they're metabolizing. As they metabolize, they're adding fertility. I think the focus really is on the livingness of the fertility. So it's not just maybe the chemistry of the fertility, but also the micro life. And so as we try to maybe grow or enhance the microbial life in the soil, this is inclusive of bacteria, fungi, the mycorrhizal interactions with roots and fungi. And so if we can keep that system more intact, then we can not only create longer storage of carbon in the soil, we also create a lot of, more fungal, hyphae, fungal life and fungal dominated soils.
One main reason we switched to regenerative or added regenerative farming to our farm is that was a bit frustrating that after 15 years of organic biodynamic farming, massive cover crops, and then still tilling, we only elevate our soil organic matter by 1%. But that was kind of better than what literature states. Our literature, scientific literature, says that it's impossible to increase soil organic matter. With regenerative farming, after a few years of small gains, on a 5th year of regenerative farming, we were kind of met with surprise. We submitted like over 32 samples this year with many different blocks and vineyards. Our average gain was 0.9% in soil organic matter, so almost 1%, which is, I was hoping maybe for a quarter. So we were shocked to see this. So this is, like they say, it's as advertised. This is when you read and study regenerative farming, this is doable. There's many regenerative farmers that now have organic soil organic matter up to 15 from 2 or 3. How wonderful is to know that every 1% of soil organic matter more in soil, in the first foot of soil, can capture over 50,000 gallons of water. So all of a sudden, you increase soil organic matter by 1%, you have 50,000 gallons more water for your plants.
One of the features of regenerative organic certification, and I think one of the additional benefits, is that there's a strong focus on the carbon cycle. So we know in our current system, climate change and this climate crisis even, that there's too much carbon in the atmosphere. Regenerative organic farming really looks to reverse that in some ways, or mitigate that in some ways, using a farm system. So if we can help draw down the excess carbon in the atmosphere through the magic of photosynthesis and pull that into the soil and hold that carbon in the soil where it's incredibly beneficial, then this focus that we have not focused on as much, I think, through our previous farming systems, maybe knew of the benefit of focusing on soil health, but now the lens has been shifted from kind of a carbon imbalance. So now with regenerative organic certification, really looking at reducing to eliminating tillage, we're looking at how can we maintain that carbon in the soil and not in the atmosphere. We know that carbon in the soil adds an amazing amount of water holding capacity, also creates an incredible surface. So I think the carbon in the soil adds surfaces for the microlife to live, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and on and on. Also earthworms and such, right? But really it's how can we utilize carbon and focus on the benefit of carbon in the soil? Because carbon in the soil not only helps retain water in drought time, but it also helps retain soil in floods, right? So whether there's too much water or not enough water, the focus on increasing the carbon as in the organic matter in the soil really looks to add a resilience to the soil system and the farm system that maybe we didn't focus on so much in the past.
In our case, we've been able to increase our soil organic matter year over year in more than 1% in most of our vineyards. And that, doing the math, that means that we're actually removing about 40 tons per acre by improving 1% of soil organic matter in the top 1 foot of our soils.
One of the things that we love about the regenerative organic program is that it both addresses the causes of climate change and mitigates the impacts. So if you think of something like cover cropping and moving away from tillage, what you're doing is you're trying to build the carbon content of your soil. How do you do that? You have plants that are pulling carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, turning them into carbohydrates. By reducing your tilling, you are avoiding re-releasing that back into the atmosphere. So you are increasing the carbon content of your soil instead of having it in the atmosphere. But that extra carbon content in the soil does positive things to the impacts of climate change. It means that your soils can hold more moisture. It means that you're less worried about erosion. It means that your soils hold cool temperatures later in the growing season, and it delays bud break. So all of these things have direct on-the-ground positive impacts on the effects of climate change, but it's not just dealing with symptoms. You're also trying to farm in a way that helps address the problems in the first place.
There are 7 million hectares of vineyard land in the world, and whilst regenerative viticulture may not be the only answer to mitigating climate change, many increasingly believe it's going to play a major role in what the solution will have to look like.
Bringing so much nature within our vineyard environment, that increases overall biodiversity, and that has its benefits in terms of it creates natural competition within all the living organisms in the vineyard ecosystem, and that prevents any single one species, say an insect, to overpower, impose itself, becoming a pest. So we keep the ecosystem in balance naturally using the processes that happen naturally in nature. We just incorporate all those principles into our vineyard.
The human factor of regenerative farming is one of the most important facets to us, I believe, as a system. You know, when Robert Rodale coined that term, he specifically spoke of soil health, animal welfare, and the human aspect of a farm and how equally important they are.
In 2023, we certified all our 5 vineyards with Regenerative Organic Certified, which is very prestigious certification. And one main reason that we loved, no other organization requires this. Third pillar of certification is social justice, meaning that you not only treat your farm workers with respect and care, but also that you pay them a living wage. And for us, this is very important.
El sistema regenerativo muy mejor ahorita porque no se usan los químicos como antes se usaban, y ahorita nuestro sistema respirar del aire más limpio, más todo para nuestra salud perfecta. Eso es algo que ganamos cuando nos convertimos a ser regenerativos, lo que respiramos alrededor de nuestro trabajo. Y también no nos preocupamos de que podamos llevar algún pesticida en nuestra ropa como lo hacíamos antes cuando íbamos a la casa. Llegamos y nos preocupábamos mucho por la familia porque íbamos llenos de pesticidas y todo lo que se aplicaba en los files, y ahora esto de ser regenerativo, natural. No tienes que preocuparte por nada para cuando vas a tu casa para tu familia.
Does regenerative farming produce better wine than chemical farming?
As a winemaker, it is obvious for me, and it's been impressive to see how our regenerative farming practices clearly translate not only to improved soil health and vine health, but also higher quality grapes and ultimately higher quality wine. So we're seeing healthier vines because of that, and for me as a winemaker, that's important because that translates into healthy grapes and high quality grapes with high levels of yeast available nutrients for the fermentations and high concentrations of tannins and phenols, and a more defined, higher quality flavor profile.
Do consumers care about certification? Some of them do. Some of them don't. Some of them are somewhere in between. Even if somebody doesn't care that it's certified organic or regenerative, they're going to care about how the wine tastes, and the results are in the bottle.
The farming leaves scars on the earth that are easily noticeable for those that can see them. And so I can go to any farm and I can tell you quickly how healthy their soil is and what they're doing. Average consumer who's buying produce or grape wine or wine can't tell that. So that's why, unfortunately, we have to rely on certificates.
I think a lot about greenwashing. As with any business where you've got this complicated, lots of small producers, lots of regions, my feeling is that people really are trying to do the right thing, but I do feel like a lot of the sustainability certifications in particular, their goal of continuous improvement has led them to set the bar so low that it allows things that I think most people in a reasonable world would not consider sustainable practices. I think it is great that we have 90% of the vineyards in California are a part of a sustainability certification, but I think that it's really important that we continue to make those certifications more rigorous and that we encourage people who are certified sustainable to move to organic, those who are moved to organic to move to biodynamic or regenerative, because these practices, it's a meaningful leap each time you move up to one of those more rigorous certifications. And I think having things stay the status quo, the way that they've been for the last few decades, it's not enough at this point. I'm not sure that consumers really distinguish much between the various sustainable terms, whether that be sustainable, organic, biodynamic, regenerative. I think most people have this vague positive association with all of them, but don't really understand the details, the differences between them. I do think that's one of the reasons why certifications matter. They may recognize a seal and know that that has a particular impact. But it's still early phases for a lot of these terms for a lot of consumers. And I don't think it's a really critical problem that people don't understand the difference. I think as long as they think that this is something that they should want, it'll move farming in the right direction, it'll move producers in the right direction, and everyone will benefit.
People believe that if you're organic or biodynamic or regenerative grape grower, that's only good for wealthy owners that can afford to lose money. Truth could not be further from it. This is most profitable farming. So here in Napa Valley, we have concrete data. Average cost to farm 1 acre of Napa Valley vineyards is about $15,000, astronomically high. Our cost is about $11,000, much cheaper. You have to add to this also that our vineyards are lasting 3 or 4 times longer. Average Napa Valley vineyard probably cannot last past 20 years. And there's a huge cost there. That's called depreciation. So our depreciation is 1/3 less than average Napa Valley vineyard. So combine these two things, we are about $7,000 to $8,000 per acre less. 50% less than our neighbors. So this is most profitable farming there is. So difference in costs are much more use of chemicals, Roundup costs money, passing tractors many times, spraying excessively, not only that you have spray lots, but every spray is very expensive. Fertilizer are expensive more and more every year. Maybe 50 years ago, fertilizer was cheap, not anymore. And it's a losing proposition. So that's the main reason why this farming with no fertilizers, basically we're buying nothing. Only thing that we buy is we buy cover crop seeds at cost $50 per acre. That's the only cost. Regenerative farming will always be more profitable no matter where you do it, no matter what crop. That's a given, because you're not buying anything. You are harnessing power of sunlight and plants producing carbohydrates at no cost to you. You just have to stop killing microbes. So free microbes, and they will feed you for free. The winemakers around the world should care about regenerative farming for two reasons. It is far more profitable, you make more authentic and more profound wine, and you are part of solution, you are part of saving our planet. Nature has immense power, nature heals. We just have to recognize it, and many times, we are humans, we are so smart, and we are so arrogant, and we believe that we know more than nature. Nature really doesn't need us. Probably if we disappear, within 30, 40, 50 years, things will be so different, then balance will be restored very in quick order if we are gone. So hopefully that doesn't happen to us, but looks like some of us are hell-bent to get there.
What would I say to another grape grower that is looking to transition to regenerative would really easily be, you become way more in touch with your land, the plants on that land, the people on that land through this style of farming. It pulls you away from a desk and a spray program that you rely so heavily on, and it forces you to start looking at your property in a different light and figuring out ways to work alongside nature rather than against it.
Tomorrow I'm going to New York for a few days. We have, first time ever, we have at least 30 sommeliers coming to our distributor office, and it will be 2 hours regenerative farming presentation, and there's huge interest. If we invited them for lunch at 3-star Michelin restaurant, I don't think I will have more than 8. For me, this is unbelievable. In the old days, you had to lure them with the fancy lunch. Now they are coming with their own will, and there won't be any food. We're just going to be talking about regenerative farming. So I can see that I'm pretty optimistic that there's an interest for this kind of farming.
I think one other aspect that's really important is that when we have a product on shelf with a seal and a stamp that says Regenerative Organic Certified, then that gives consumers and anyone in the world the opportunity to kind of join in this journey, right? Not everybody can farm 800 acres. Not everybody even has a little plot in their backyard. But even those who don't have soil or plots of land to farm or to garden with can now interact in such a way that they feel like they can, not even feel like, they are contributing to the benefit not only of each individual community, to the farm and farmer, but really to the, I'd say, to the greater impact in a world view even.
Young generations are demanding that we treat soil better because they have to live here longer. And there is some governments, like especially in Scandinavia, European countries, Canada, demanding that everything they import, especially our wine, to be sustainable, organic, biodynamic, or regenerative. So I have high hope that this is going to only be moving faster and faster, and that everybody will have to change the way they farm.
Y algo mejor de todo, que la tierra ya la estamos cuidando más y ahora se puede decir que con este nuevo sistema va a ser más nutritiva nuestra tierra, más productiva y mejor de todo. Va a ser lo mejor.
I am optimistic of the future. Yeah, as farmers, I don't think we farm if we don't have some degree of optimism. You know, we're constantly faced with challenges, but there's a need and a desire to be optimistic, but also the history shows that things continue to get better. We have a desire to get better. We all want a future for our children. We're all looking to leave the place better, to do what we can to enhance and to bring about a better future. And I think with human consciousness and human desire to make things better, it continues to get better. I'd say one of the biggest barriers to scale is the human mind, right? It's the paradigm that has to shift. We are the ones that limit our own capacity and our own growth, we as humans. And we all have a part to play, whether we're producers, farmers, consumers, media, whatever our part is or our many parts are, we all have a part to play to continue to kind of move the needle, you know, pull those levers that we can to create more resilient systems.
For me, on a personal level, this is very important discovery, regenerative farming. It made me a better person. Many people don't realize that when you're a farmer, you work with your hands, you observe nature, you see wonderments every day. Your quality of life is greatly improved. I wish that many young people would go and become farmers. I wish that all around these big cities, there'll be small farms, locally produced food with highest nutritional level that people available can buy, instead of relying on these big supermarkets that truck our food 3,500 miles on average. And it looks good and it's tasteless. So that's my dream. And I can testify to maybe possible young farmers that this is incredible life. That you are happy, you are calmer. When I am stressed out, this is where I come here to this vineyard, and I'm detoxed from all poisonous of daily life. And it's a great life to be farmers. So please, young kids, listen up, become farmers.
Rarely in nature do you see things out of balance. When you walk into a forest, when you walk into a grassland, there is a balance that exists there, and it's nature's plan. I think there's peace in a lot of this style of farming. You're able to recognize how powerful nature is, and if you just ease it along, you can benefit greatly.
My favorite part of my job is getting to do something different every day.
The favorite part of my job is being able to get up out of my desk and walk into this property.
During the bud break, because it's always magic.
Cuando trabajo junto con mis compañeros, conjunto y terminamos un trabajo perfecto y sin ningún problema. Es lo que más me gusta.
The favorite part of my job is working with soil, working with plants, and working with these amazing people.
You never do the same thing for 2 days straight.
The favorite part of my job is to wander around the vineyards when no one's there.
Estar en contacto con la naturaleza.
I am so grateful to God to be farmer, and there's nothing more interesting than come with my shovel to any of our vineyards, dig soil, smell it, be part of this wonderful nature, listen birds, buzzing of bees. That life is something that no money can buy, and I recommend everybody to try it.